So I got this gaming PC pretty cheap online on Facebook Marketplace. It's an in-win case. I have to verify the specs, but inside it is filthy. Whoever had it before didn't really take care of it. They just ran it. You can tell they just kept it closed and ran it for years. They said they had the PC for about 7 years, which makes sense if I can verify that the GPU is a 1080, a GTX 1080. Then it came with this BenQ 1080p monitor, gaming monitor, with the stands, and it also came with, of course, all the wiring. Of course, I'm not going to use that old wiring. I'm going to switch it out for new wiring, for better wiring. But for now, it's good enough to test it. That's the next phase, is to power it on before I disassemble it. So that's the plan. I want to disassemble it, clean it up like brand new, rebuild it, you know, and flip it. So the next step though is, while it's still dirty and nasty, turn it on, verify everything works, clean up the monitor. As long as I have it powers on and boots into Windows, then I'm going to turn it off and start the disassembly. Alright, I spent last night cleaning up the monitor, setting it up, so we can turn everything on and verify that everything worked. And let's turn on the PC. And I also spent hours, well, you know, waiting for it to hard reset. I wiped the drive clean, hard reset, and it's an old drive. It's an old SATA SSD. It's got 2 terabytes in it, so that was a plus. But it's an old SATA. For gaming, I don't know if that's gonna be any good. I'll have to do some research, check it out. I think the best option would be to swap that out for an M2 SSD and make it more modern in that sense, and just leave everything else. We'll see what happens. So teardown is beginning. This is how nasty it looks in there. The CPU cooler is just, it's a beastie one, but it is just filthy. All these fans, everything is dirty. I'm gonna tear it down and make it look like new, even inside the glass. I mean, that was the inside. The filter down, everything is the filter that you can hardly tell from the video. But yeah, let's start. I'm gonna be turning it down piece by piece and cleaning it up really good, and repasting the CPU and the GPU and make it run like new. So far, this is what I've taken out, and I discovered that the GPU slot is broken. Somehow it still functions, but there's bent pins down there. You can see it on the lower and right here where I'm pointing. It's got bent pins there. I'm gonna have to try to, when I remove the motherboard, I'm gonna have to try to, there we go, that's a better picture of it. See if I could bend those straight and then insert this back in there somehow, and hopefully it still works. It is an old ASRock Z370M Pro 4 motherboard with Crossfire. It doesn't really help, Crossfire technology, when you have the other slot so low, and this you know, micro ATX case or mid tower. So, but the GPU is an old GTX 1080 gigabyte. I cleaned it up already a little bit. I still have to repaste it, but that looks okay. I cleaned up the filter already, just as I go. But yeah, that's already one bad thing. And then that cheap battery right there, I think I have a spare one. If we could fix that on motherboard, then I can replace that lithium battery, put a new one in there. You're only about a couple bucks. Well, here's the back of the case. Besides the problem I ran into with the motherboard, it is filthy. I'm gonna have to blow it out probably before I start touching it. Looks like it's got some kind of ground, which I've never seen before on newer builds. I've usually only touched newer PCs with like RTX 3050s or newer. I've never seen anything like that on a PC, some kind of ground. I took the rear panel off and cleaned it to get inside those little honeycomb patterns. I had to use Q-tips. But yeah. Yep. So far I've had to go through some hell to take this thing apart. I had to bring it back outside and blow it while it was still assembled because it was so disgusting. But I had to take this panel off here. And then I gotta take this panel off here. Already removed the Corsair, what is it, a CX 600 watt power supply. So yeah, ran into another issue while disassembling, and it was the ATX power connector, the 24 pin. It was loose. It just like came completely off. It wasn't even completely fastened. So I'm thinking these people might have sold it thinking something was wrong with it that they couldn't figure out. Maybe that's why they gave it up so cheap. Maybe not. You know, maybe they didn't notice anything in the performance, but that could cause an issue. But maybe it didn't for them. I took out the RAM sticks, and I took out the CPU cooler and blew it, cleaned it, wiped it. But I discovered that they're missing a screw here. They only had one screw holding down the CPU cooler. If I can't find a screw anywhere or a replacement screw, I can't put the CPU back. That could have been causing an overheating issue for them because it has to be sealed very tight. So we're making some progress here. I cleaned this thing up really good already. Detailed it really well, as best as I could with what I have. And so far, even the power supply got cleaned. And the back panel. The one thing I got left is these fans. I saved those for last. Look at those nasty things. Oh man, those are terrible. In case you're wondering, here's the motherboard. I'm gonna have to use some alcohol and take off that old paste off that and the CPU cooler, which you can see here. I'm gonna remove all that and apply some new paste, of course, and then I was gonna repaste the GPU too, so that's another task, but we're making progress. We made it almost to complete disassembly and cleaning. Everything's been cleaned like new. All I gotta do is disassemble the GPU and repaste it. It was a task. It was a task. But a well worth it task, because this thing is gonna look great when it's done. So here I am repasting the GPU, and look at that. How caked up it is. I wanted to show you that how caked up the paste is on this thing. It's gonna take a minute for me to remove it safely and then clean it up real nice before I repaste it. That is crazy. 7-year-old card. So that was the cleanest I could safely get it without scratching surfaces on a card that's 7 years old. So I got it as clean as I could. And yeah, see, it's clean. There's a little residue there on the bottom that was hard to get off without keeping on rubbing, so I got kind of worried about that. But gonna paste it and put it back together. Too bad. I made a little bit of a mess, but it looks good. Good enough. I'm just gonna throw it back on there. So for the motherboard, I was able to fix the PCIe slot. I had to bend the like 4 pins as straight as I could to match the shape, the way it's bent. You know, the same profile it has on the other one. You gotta make it match so that way you can like get this thing on there and like set it in there real nice. So it worked out. But the it ended up being for the CPU a Intel Core i5 8600K, so 8th gen. A little bit old school, but it works for this build. Also, the original build had 2 SSDs, one Western Digital, but they're SSDs like the SATA SSDs. I ended up having this extra Western Digital black SSD, and I put this little heat sink on it. Pretty cheap. It's normally for laptops, but I'm gonna use it for this one. So we could use an M2, take advantage of this M2 Ultra here. And this Western Digital is definitely overkill for it, but it's one I had extra, so I'm putting it on there and it's gonna work better. There it is. Nice, clean, repasted. Yeah. For the CPU cooler, we only had one screw. The guys that had it before, they lost the screw. Turns out they stripped it because I had a screw the same size and it wouldn't bite. So I don't know how they pulled that off. So I had to go ahead and just, well, you see, it's gonna have to do for now. I used those twist ties, some new ones, and tied them up really good, and then cut the ends to try to clean it up a little bit. But it's only for now because eventually this thing's gonna have to get replaced. That's not like a permanent fix. That's just to get it going. Eventually, the CPU cooler will have to get replaced, unless I could find a screw that will have some bite, which I doubt, because somehow it got stripped out. I don't know how they did manage to do that. And then all we gotta do is get this installed after we put some thermal paste on the CPU. So I ended up having some thermal pads as well for that heat sink for that M2 SSD, so that went on great. And then I ended up having a spare brand new Energizer CR 2032 battery for the motherboard, so I got rid of the old one. We got the new battery installed, and I just installed the 32 gigabyte kit, Crucial DDR4 Pro, but the 3200 MHz. So that's what was there already. I did verify they were 32 gigabytes. It says 16 gigabytes on each stick. I hope they came in a kit, so you know, it looks like they do have the same numbers on them, so it looked like they did come in a kit. So I'm gonna repaste the CPU and install the CPU. The CPU is pasted, repasted fresh. I made a little bit of a mess, but you know how they say you can put more but you can't put less, right? I didn't want to make it too bad, but I spread it this time. Normally I do the pattern seen in nature, but this time I decided to use the spatula that this my paste that I use is the XTM50 thermal paste by Corsair, I believe. It's high performance. Yeah, there we go. High performance thermal paste. That's the one I've been using, and it's been great on all the builds I've been doing. So let's put the CPU cooler together and then put the motherboard. Bad news bears. So the basically the rig I tried to do with the twisty ties, it didn't work. It was uneven, so I gotta go to the hardware store and try to find a matching screw. We'll see how it goes. I ended up finding a solution at the hardware store, and it's gonna hold up. We're gonna find out when we paste it up the CPU and screw it in. All right, got the CPU cooler installed. Looks pretty good, and it has a daisy chain on it for the 2 fans. So here we go. Motherboard's installed. All we gotta do, we gotta install the CPU cooler. All we gotta do now is, I'm thinking about putting the fans down here because this is actually covered with this thing here, and there's really no way to pull air this way when they're mounted here like they had them before. So we're gonna mount them down here, pull air up, and then pull air out the exhaust. That's the plan anyway. So I connected the front panel already. the audio, the power, everything. Of course, the I/O shield's on there nice and straight now. Before it was crooked, but now it's nice and straight. Now I'm gonna do the fans. I'm gonna put the exhaust fan and the two fans down here now that everything's connected that I need connected, and then I'll do the GPU after the fans. And I might need a GPU support bracket, but I'm gonna put something there temporarily, or maybe something I can find I can make good use without having to buy a bracket that'll just support it for now. So in my opinion, I think, okay, so we got the fans mounted, the exhaust fan, but the other two fans I mounted them below because, like I said, it's blocked off here. You'll see later, and that logically makes sense to put it where there's already an open vent with a filter. So yeah, to be continued. I guess the next part is the GPU after I put the filter on the case here. Filter's on. That's what it looks like with the filter on. So GPU's in, power supply's in. I'll show you the power supply when we get around to cable management, but I think I put the GPU in too early, only because this thing is supposed to be behind it. So I gotta try to get it in without having to take out the GPU again. Oh my goodness. So now you can see what I mean now that that panel's in there. But it's not finished yet because now this one goes in there. And let's finish that off. But with that cover back there, you see the kind of air you're pulling in compared to just having the fans at the bottom. So there's that last panel. Some cable management. And then we're done. Front panels on. So this case has very limited cable management. That is crazy. I'll put the back panel back on, but now you see what I'm talking about. Like, you got very little space where you're putting all your cables, especially with a non-modular power supply, and you're supposed to pull air through that. Yeah, right. This is what the build finally came out to. Nice and clean. And the fans, just like I said, put them on the bottom because there's where the vents are. There's no vents here, you can see, and then all that wiring back there was no air. This is what it looks like behind it. No bulging. Nice and straight because the cable management. And we'll see what the setup looks like when it's turned on all together. So here we go. This is literally the first time I'm going to boot this since I reassembled it from the build. So let's turn that power on. I didn't even turn that on yet. Alright. Make sure the monitor turns on. Ah, there we go. I like that little beep sound the monitor makes, pretty cool. And that works. Now let's turn the PC on. Here it goes. Dun dun dun. Yo. Let's get those first moments of the boot. Says no signal detected, but that's gotta change right now. Come on, baby. I know it's the first boot, it's gonna take a little time, but it should be good to go already. think it's taking a little too long because everything looks and sounds good. You know, I did have that problem with the motherboard and the GPU that I had to try to repair. So who knows? Let me make sure it's plugged in right. Maybe I'm on the right signal. So I wanted you to see this when I started up. Look, I just have it on my desk temporarily because I don't have a bench, but watch this flash. You see that? And everything else still works, but the GPU light doesn't turn on. But did you see that flash in there? Replay the video. So this is it now. This is the screen I'm on. You can see it's running, no GPU, just integrated graphics. This is that noisy ass PSU, I don't know. But I don't know, what do you think? Over tightening, maybe it's I did it finger tight this time and check for firmness. Update on the build. This is where we're at now. We get an output to the monitor. We're running it on a test bench style. No GPU, just integrated graphics. And it's been a struggle trying to figure out if it was been just a faulty GPU, faulty motherboard, faulty CPU socket. I'm thinking it could be a CPU socket. We have yet to find out. For now it's running. So here we are in BIOS. Finally got to BIOS. Here's the BIOS. Tell me if you see anything that's concerning other than the date and time. There's the temperatures, the voltage. I know I put that crazy overkill Western Digital black SSD in there because that was a spare one I had. I don't like using other people's SSDs, you know what I mean? You never know what the hell they did on them. So here it is, booted with the GPU. Oh my goodness, this is crazy. Alright, so I have a Kingwin power supply tester. It's got instructions for it, so you know what to look for, what to listen for when testing your PSU. And I have it already connected on the CPU and 24-pin motherboard connector. And we got that on this Corsair CX600 that's going into the current build. And it's already plugged in. When we power it on, we get good readings, so I already checked it out. I'll try to pull that up for you. So hopefully we can see it. There we go. That's nice and good. So you see it gives you what the readings should be versus what your readings are. So far everything's good on what I did plug in. I haven't tested the PCIe or SATA connectors or anything else yet, but the main connectors look good so far. Of course the PCIe are some main connectors, so I gotta test those one at a time. So I just finished testing everything just to show you real quick. I already just so you know, when you plug in the SATA connectors on this side, these three lights on the side, these blue lights here, these three, all three of them should light up in order for it to pass the test. Also, everything is within range. The one that I was concerned about, other than my fan making that loud noise, which I was going to inspect in a minute, was the PG, and I guess that one is how much time it takes your power supply to get to full power, which is good. It's supposed to be lower than 500. For some reason, there's something in my unit here. I think it's the fan. Something in there is making a lot of noise, so I was gonna disassemble it
and see if it's just a fan that needs some servicing, or maybe even a new fan. Who knows? There's got to be something in there making all that racket. But I tested everything checks out. All these other plugs, the PCIEs, the SATA, the ones I'm using, everything looks good. Alright, so I just pulled apart the power supply, as you can see, and the fan is not making any noise. The fan is nice and clean. It actually wasn't the fan. The thing that was making the noise was, if you look at the wiring here, they have these zip ties around the wiring, and they were facing up against the fan. I was thinking that I'm gonna do some testing, but it felt like the fan wasn't too secure in there. Like something could have been hitting the blades, one of these wires or something, knocking on the blade as it's spinning, because the fan itself is not making any noise when you spin it. The other option making the noise was this plastic back here. So if you look at the plastic, when that fan's blowing, it's making noise. So I was gonna find a way to maybe glue it down, maybe some super glue or something. I don't know what to do, because all it's got is these 2 screws, but it leaves the rest of this just flapping. So there you go. I use a little crazy glue on this corner right here where you can see the dark spot, and then on that corner there, a little bit on this corner here, and then a little bit on that corner there. I got a little messy down there, but who cares? Nobody's gonna see that. That's nothing that you see. And I cleaned it up to the fan real nice and clean while I was at it. But this is the stuff I used here. It comes in this container right here. Crazy glue. Yep. I'll leave a link to it, another affiliate link for it, if you feel like you need it for similar purposes. That'd be cool if you use my link. But yeah, anyway, hopefully that fixed the problem. I'm gonna put it back together, turn it on, and test it again. And yeah, when you do take these power supplies apart, don't touch nothing in there. Don't touch the capacitors, nothing, because the capacitors, especially like this big one right here in the corner, those hold charges. And you're at your own risk. I'm not gonna tell you to do any of this, because one, you're gonna void the warranty on your PSU, if you even have it still within warranty, and 2, you're gonna risk electric shock if you touch anything in there. So I would advise you not to do it. So as you know, I just finished testing everything, and I think this power supply is a really good one. Looks nice, strong, and durable. Worked nice, has a great, nice and clean looking look, but the LCD worked great. It had the alarms on there. If you unplug one of the plugs while testing it, it's gonna you can hear the alarm for testing. But yeah, I'm gonna have an affiliate link in the description if you would like to purchase one. That'll be awesome if you use it as a way to support my channel. That'll be cool. Alright, so I reassembled the power supply and connected the tester back on it so I can do a final test after reassembling it and maintaining it. And you can see, of course, it's still working just fine. And can you hear that? How quiet that is. That is the sound of victory right there. Alright, we just received a new motherboard. It's a G.O.A.T Z370M DS3H. This is the old motherboard, the AS Rock. It's a Z370M as well, but it's the Pro 4. And as you can see, that's what broke during disassembly. Then we tried to put it back on, and we're having mounting issues. It wouldn't. The GPU was turning off and on, and causing the motherboard not to boot. So had to get a new one, and it looks good. We'll see how it works. So this is what it looks like so far. Got the CPU installed, CPU cooler, M2 SSD and RAM. The old one is, yeah, I put all of its components here. The old one just shot out. I don't even know what to do with this damn thing, but I'm holding on to it just in case, because if this does not boot up, then it's got to be something else. But I'm guessing it's gonna be fine. Apologize for the poor lighting, but you know, I don't got all the fancy lights and stuff. But here we go. power supply is installed. Got everything ready, and the new I/O
So that
shield.
motherboard changed the build big time because everything shifted more to the left, and I couldn't put a rear exhaust fan. I had to resituate the fans and
For this
everything.
build, I bought this GPU support bracket. The GPU's in right now. You'll see it in a minute, but that poor GPU's been sagging for years. It's in a new motherboard, but I'm still worried about it. I'm gonna install it. Oh yeah, regarding the GPU support bracket, affiliate link in the description. I appreciate it if you use it. But I try a different GPU support bracket on every build. I don't stay with the same one. All right, here we go. We're gonna install Windows 10 Pro on it, and here it is. So it does have Ethernet only, no Wi-Fi right now. I'm gonna have to buy a USB Wi-Fi antenna, so that way I can install whatever drivers it needs to run Wi-Fi. But it does all it's gonna have for now is the Ethernet while I'm test driving it until I get that Wi-Fi. As you can see, the GPU is too massive. It covers the only slots available to install a Wi-Fi card. It does have a GPU support bracket, and it has an issue where over the years the GPU has been sagging, and it pushes one of the fans into the shroud, so it needs the GPU support bracket not only to stay level, but to so that way it's not having that fan hitting the shroud while the fan is spinning. So yeah, it's not eventually it's going to need an upgrade on the GPU anyway. Right now is not the time for that. Right now is the time to test drive it, test it, and go from there. So here we are again. So what I did to try and fix the issue with the GPU, the GPU is working fine. So the problem is that just the sag, and I'll tell you why. Because I took the GPU completely apart. I took off the back cover, repasted it. I took off the shroud, and this is like the third time I repasted it because I've been trying to figure out what problems this GPU might have, if any. And it seems that someone has taken out the shroud before, and there were missing screws from the fans. And it's a it has three fans. So one of the fans was hitting on this side. Another one of the fans was hitting on this side, but the middle fan was secured just fine. So I had to go in there, tighten up, take it apart, clean it all up, clean the fans up, tighten up the screws, and figure it out. Make the fans stay stable. And then when I plugged it back in, turned it back on, without the GPU support bracket, you can see it looks nice and even. But without it, it sags on this side from all the years of sagging. And then because it's twisting the frame, it's making this fan on this side knock against the shroud underneath it. Those because this one has those X with the gigabyte symbol in the middle. I don't know if we can see that. Yeah, you can kind of see it down there. You can kind of see the X. It's got like a cross brace, and it's hitting that, and you can even see where the fan left a mark from hitting it repetitively. The previous owners, I don't believe that they knew what was going on. They were just using it and letting it make a bunch of noise. So yeah, it needs that GPU bracket. There was nothing I could do to fix the sag and the twisting there. I try to bend as much stuff straight as possible and secure those fans, and it is a lot quieter. So when it turns on now, it's really quiet. So you'll see me turn it on again here when I'm waiting for the USB 3.0 Wi-Fi and Bluetooth adapter, and then I'm gonna set that up and hopefully get Windows 10 Pro set up finally. And then after that, I want to run some tests, some benchmarks, and while playing the game too. I want to play maybe Apex Legends, maybe some Fortnite, and we'll see how it does. Let's see how this old beast handles. But so far it's been working good. It's nice and quiet, and that's all I gotta say for now. So I don't think there's no way around that. If anybody knows of any way to fix that besides just replacing the card, let me know. But for now, I mean, this was meant to be a flip, and that would be definitely something I have to disclose to whoever buys it, is let them know that under no circumstances, do not remove that GPU support bracket unless you plan on replacing the GPU. And even if you do replace it, you should still use a GPU support bracket, right? So that's going to be my advice to whoever buys it next. So here's what the PC looks like at night. And there's that 3D Mark bench test we just ran with the results. So it's gonna be just a PC for sale, nothing else. That's my personal gaming monitor with my personal Logitech gear right there. My gaming keyboard and mouse. But this beast right here's got to go. Pretty cool. Okay, this morning I pulled out the GPU so I could repair the issue with the fans hitting the shroud underneath. So it's the part of the shroud that's like an X, the part you see right here. So what happened there was the fan somehow, when I had the GPU bracket, I was able to move it to the end now. Before I had to put it under this piece here, so that way it would like move it a certain way out of the fan's direction. So all I did was just like pull it out, examine it, see where the fan was exactly hitting, and it was hitting on the inside of that. So all I did was grab my tool, needle nose pliers basically, and just bend it enough so that way it stays away from the fans, and now it's working good. Now there's no, the fan doesn't hit the shroud, and that's with or without the GPU support bracket. So I was able to solve that. This is the build during the daylight. We got the Bluetooth and Wi-Fi installed there on the motherboard, and to fit the color theme, because we can't change the color theme on this build. These fans just ain't capable. They plug into the old Molex, so they just stay like an orange color, which is fine with me because it matches the whole theme. So we got a Gigabyte motherboard with Gigabyte GTX 1080 in there, so it works out perfect. And then so when I get rid of this build, or when it sells, I'm gonna send it with a drive like I always do with my builds, with all the drivers and downloads that they need, plus with the files for the wallpapers, so that way they can keep the same theme. All right, so here we go with the recording. We're gonna run some 3D Mark, and I'm gonna mute my mic for this one. The one I want to run, of course, this is the setup for the PC. We got the GTX 1080, the Intel Core i5-8600K, which has integrated graphics, but we turn those off in BIOS. And then we have 32 gigs of RAM, DDR4, and the Western Digital Black SN850X, 1 terabyte, which is, of course, this motherboard, which is the Gigabyte Z370M DS3H, I believe. Can't take full advantage of that because it runs at PCIe 3.0 speed still, but it's still like a big time improvement from when I got the PC and it was running off of hard drives. So, all right, let's do it. I'm gonna start the time spy.
So there it is. There's the results. The last time I ran the test, I got better than average, which is odd. I think because I'm recording on OBS Studio while I'm running this 3D Mark, that could be why. But in any event, it's still a good score, I believe. I'm gonna go ahead and run this thing without recording and see if I get a higher number than 7092. And yeah, we'll see if it does for sure. But yeah, that's the time spy score. That's
All right,
it.
so I got this i7 8700K inside of the from the Facebook Marketplace. Opened it, got it for a good deal. It looks good. Just needs a little cleaning. It's a little dirty. Has thermal paste on it, but I'm gonna clean it up and get it installed inside of the build, and it should improve performance because the build has an i5 8600K and it's only got 6 cores, 6 threads, so it doesn't really the gaming performance just it needs a boost basically. So like this 8700K's got 12 threads, 6 cores, 12 threads, and this should be plenty to give it what it needs to play more smoothly, a better gaming experience. All right, so there you go. Now you see it. Now it's nice and clean. No more thermal paste on it on the sides, you know what I mean? It's nice and clean. Even on this side, I went ahead and cleaned the little thermal paste smudge on here. It's nice and clean now. It's ready to get installed. So here's the old i5 8600K I pulled out of it. I cleaned it up a little bit. Got most of the thermal paste off. It's good. It's clean. It's a good CPU. I'm gonna end up putting it on the used market. To reduce the overall cost of the build, but this PC needed it. Modern games need at least 4 cores, 8 threads, and this is 6 cores, 6 threads, so 2 threads too short. The i7 with 6 cores, 12 threads should be a noticeable difference in performance. So here we are in BIOS easy mode, and you can see the specs for yourself. We got the it's the same PC, same motherboard, same everything. The difference is the i7 8700K CPU. And I already went to BIOS, loaded the optimized defaults, and then I saved and exited, or it saved and reset, and then went into Windows, and it goes to Windows, and then it went back into BIOS so I could record this, and it looks good. I am gonna have to adjust my settings again. I did make some settings in the BIOS. I heard this CPU has hyper threading and everybody recommends turning it off. But I'm gonna look into that further, and then I'll keep you up to date on what I end up doing with this CPU, the BIOS settings, to see how I can optimize it further.
All right, so here we are. So what I had to do was I had to go to the NVIDIA app after I changed the CPU to the i7 8700K. I noticed that I wasn't able to optimize none of my games or apps, so I had to go to the drivers and reinstall the GeForce Game Ready driver, or the uh, GPU driver, and that fixed it. But what I wanted to do now was run 3D Mark to run a benchmark and see how we do. So I'm gonna do one recorded like I did before with the i5 8600K, and now I'm doing one, and then I'm gonna run one not recorded, and then I'm gonna take a screenshot because the results are gonna be higher um, when I'm not recording because there's no other processes running in the background. But this should run way better. There should be a noticeable gain in performance. We should likely score higher too. So if we go to benchmarks, we're gonna run time spy, and I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself while this runs. And again, remember it's got 4 parts to this benchmark. So if you want to ask me, I already see a difference. It feels a little more buttery smooth. Before it felt a little more hacky, or like it was for a split second freeze framing. I don't know how to describe it. It's a little bit laggy, but it still ran pretty quick. To see how this checks out. Yeah, so from what I'm seeing, I know there's no sound right now on this benchmark. I think it's going to be a bigger improvement, much bigger improvement. It already feels better. I just from previous uh, came a long way with this build. I'm almost, we'll see how it plays. I'm going to run a recording of Apex Legends on high settings, 1080p high settings. And I also got a new gaming monitor which runs at the old monitor I tested on was 144 hertz. This one's going to be at 180 hertz, so we should be getting more frames in the game on 1080p high settings, and of course that's going to give us a performance boost, but the gameplay should be like it should be more noticeable. We shouldn't have the CPU maxing out anymore, or maybe we'll see. That's my assumption because the i5 8600K on Apex Legends, and then mainly because we're 1080p gaming. That's the platform I like to target is 1080p gaming, and that's going to be always more CPU intensive. And um, it was maxing out. It was like 99%, and it'll bounce back between 100, 98, 99, 100, 98, 99, and sometimes hold steady at 100. And I didn't like to see that. With this one, I'm hoping we make a much better improvement from that. Any kind of improvement from that, because I don't want to see the CPU at 100%. So, but if we do see the CPU at 100%, but we got better gameplay, then why cry about it? Because the motherboard is almost maxed out. I could have went for I believe it's a i9 9900K, but I didn't because those are still, I believe those are ninth gen CPUs for Intel, but they're compatible with this board. But when I was looking at doing my research, the performance gain from the i7 8700K to the i9 9900K wasn't that great. Um, sure, you get more cores, two more cores, but um, it just wasn't worth the hundreds of dollars extra it was going to cost for it. But yeah, we got a good score. So like last time, um, with our setup, because our setup has changed, so our average might be a little higher now. But for now, this is what we got on our score. Um, I still believe I know it's going to be an improvement, so I'm going to run this without recording in the background and see if we can pull above average. But because we have a different setup now, we have the i7 8700K, so I'm not sure exactly how that changes the average in the app because I know this app's looking at all of our components and how they compare um, in whatever database they have for this app. And so I don't think we can really, I don't know if we're going to get like a comparison exactly with the i5 8600K, but so far so good. Oh yeah, and I will be running when I do Apex Legends on 1080p high. I'm going to be running MSI Afterburner so we can have our data as we're running it. So yeah, I'm going to give this one more run without recording. I'll catch you next time. All right, so here we go. We got Afterburner running, Apex Legends. First time I'm gonna play Apex Legends on this PC since upgrading the CPU. Let's see how it does. Let's see. I'm expecting higher frame rates, more GPU usage, and less CPU usage. Whenever it loads up. All right, we'll just wait it out, I guess. There we go. Look at that frame rate, 960. What the? That did not happen last time, if you remember. We didn't have no frame rate that was almost 1,000, but I guess that's just because the game was starting. Uh, that would be insane if that was in game. All right, so let's see. So let's get this game kicking off. I'm gonna check out the settings. Oh yeah. So yeah, we do gotta wait for some compiling of the shaders. This is like since the game's recent update. This is like the third time it's done that. Maybe because it's picking up on the new CPU, but you know what? Let's go to settings and let's see what we got going on here. So yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. I always have those there, but the ultra spot shadow it's always complaining about. So I'm probably gonna kick that down a notch. We got these settings up. This is set to 72. I think now that we ran the game for the first time, I might have to go back and re-optimize it, but we'll find out. Because I should be pulling higher frame rates than the 144, and it looks like this was set to target 144 the hertz monitor that I had set it before, but the spot shadow detail, we're gonna kick that down a notch from ultra so we can get rid of that warning. Everything else I'm gonna just leave it, and well, let's see it. Let's see if for some reason you know, we're gonna go to, yeah, let's do gun run first. So if for some reason it's only pulling 144 frame rate, I'm gonna have to probably go exit the game, re-optimize it, and then rerun it, because the setting looked like it was gonna be targeting 144 frames per second. I could be wrong, but we'll see. CPU temperature looks good. Our CPU usage looks a lot better. If you remember from the previous one, our CPU usage was insane. Inside the game, but we're about to see when we're in the game. That's gonna be great if it stays low like that. That means that mission accomplished pretty much. So this is my favorite game right now. It's been for a while. I don't PC game too much because of everything I'm doing, but like when I do, it's normally Apex level. Alright, so let's see. Yeah, so we are getting, now we're breaking 144. Like before we weren't able to, but let's see there.
Box 3, sending it home. Recharging shields.
Alright, there could be some peeps here.
I ran away with it.
Charging my shields.
Yeah, we had a roll on her for our
Charging
partner.
on my shields.
Couldn't let her take him out.
Charging up my shields.
Man, this is playing way better than our CPU usage. Our GPU usage now is almost at 100%, but our CPU usage is at 67%, 68%, 69%. Man, that's like lovely. That's like perfect, like what we want to see. Dude, I gotta try to sneak up on this.
Charging on my shields.
Yeah, I play mouse and keyboard too, so you know. Just kidding. Yeah, this game is nice. Man, I'm tempted to just keep this PC, but you know, the whole goal was to get it and flip it. This looks like playing at level on Apex Legends today. I like it, especially for old video stuff.
Charging up my shields.
Oh man, I can't find it.
Charging.
I probably should play the music. Oh man, I just saw me using the trash, man. There's too much action going on in there, but they're sneaking down the stairs. Alright, you dirty rat.
Bogey in my crosshairs.
Let's go get those dirty rats in there. They're ratting upstairs.
Must go faster.
Going out the gate.
Told you. She's up there.
Charging.
She was up there ratting bad. They're gonna destroy her little safe haven. Hell yeah.
What? Someone's been here.
Be ready, set, go.
Yeah, this thing plays lovely
Setting in
now.
on fullback.
It doesn't feel all glitchy anymore. It feels like nice and smooth. Now I feel happy about this place. Like, especially about sound. Like now I feel like
Charging on my shields.
somebody's gonna get a great deal out of this one. Get me, that's right. You can't get me. That's right. Number 18. That was a good one. Now I'm ready to play some break. Now this game's hitting. GPU at 99%, CPU low, like major. This is more than I expected. Way more. Way better. I thought I was gonna see maybe. I didn't think I was gonna see improvements like this. So just so you know, I'm gonna put, like I always do, in the for my channels, and in the description, I'm gonna put the links for everything. So yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this video off and catch you guys later. Alright, before ending the video, I guess we could it won't hurt to take a look at the task manager, the performance tab, and we can see the CPU that was installed, how it's performing. It looks good. The memory, 32 gigs, how it's performing. We got our Western Digital Black SSD, M2 SSD, that one's doing good. And I have my own personal external SSD plugged in right now. And the Ethernet is plugged in right now. I don't run Wi-Fi personally, but I'm gonna have the PC sold with the Wi-Fi antenna. And then the GPU GTX 1080, and that one's of course super low because we're not using it for really anything right now.
So this is our last look at this PC for this video. That's my setup, and the PC with all its crazy obstacles, ups and downs. I also swapped out the CPU fans to match for black, and the GPU with all its problems. A lot of the screws were stripped out, as noted before, on the fans on the ends, and eventually I had to zip tie the wherever a bracket was missing or wherever the screw was stripped out, because there was no other option. But now it's good.
You can hear it yourself. It's smooth, and that's the fan. The CPU fan's all the way turned up there. So if we go into our settings here in G.O.A.T and we go to our smart fan and we just lower it, you'll hear it quiet. Just a little more. So not a whole lot more. I don't know if that was noticeable, but I like to run the fans on full speed. That's just my preference. But this was the TP-Link Wi-Fi and Bluetooth that's gonna come with it. And because of the restrictions in the airflow that I spoke of on the case, and due to me having to mount the fans where I had to mount them to get the build done, I always run it with the case off to give it more airflow in there. You can run it with the case on, you're still gonna get some air in there. But while gaming, yeah, I would definitely take it off. And that's it. I have this PC listed right now on G.O.A.T, Facebook Marketplace, and OfferUp. I'm not planning on listing it anywhere else because I've gotten 0 results in the past listing on other places. And let's see how it goes. Whoever buys this, it's on a 1080p setup. That's the platform I target, is 1080p high or 1080p ultra. So if you're targeting the same platform, you could run this platform on 1440p. I wouldn't recommend 4K, but I heard this card is 1440p and 4K capable. But yeah, I'd recommend 1080p. Thank you for watching.